Hey everyone, Mike here, and it's time for another episode of Pinkie Tales by Magpiepony. I know the last time when I did my reaction to Shaladin, I mentioned that I was going to audition for the next one, but there weren't any male roles available, so we'll have to see at the end of this one if they announce the next one and see if there are any male characters available for that one. If so, I'll give it a try, see what I can do. This one is, of course, the Little Mermare, obviously parody Little Mermaid. I'm not sure how much of this is going to be related to the Disney one and how much is going to be related to the original story. The thumbnail looks like it's going to be more Disney, but we'll see. This one's about 48 minutes long, so I went ahead and grabbed myself a can of soda ahead of time for this one. Alright, let's get in here and see what we get. Play.
Pinkie Tales, the Little Mermare. You're in for such a treat tonight, Poundin' Pumpkin. This is one of my favorite stories, like, ever. It's all about the mysterious merponies that live under the sea. Shall we get
Seahorses.
started? Once upon a time.
Long ago, before the creation of Equestria, there was a vast cloud kingdom called Skyvale. It was the single largest Pegasus kingdom in the world, and it produced the weather for all neighboring Earth and Unicorn kingdoms. The Pegasi worked tirelessly, creating rainbows, wind, and rain clouds that would then be traded away in exchange for food. The city itself hovered over a great blue ocean so that it could use the water for weather production. Ships of food and supplies had to sail all over this ocean to reach Skyvale. However, over a short span of time, less and less ships were able to reach their destination. Surviving sailors told tales of mystical singing voices that would lure the supply ships to their doom, sinking to the bottom of the ocean, crew and all. Scholars and skeptics ruled these tales as myths, denying knowledge of any known creature able to pull off such a feat. Unbeknown to the pony world above, an underwater city called Aquatica lay directly beneath the Pegasi. It was inhabited by all the creatures of the ocean, including the fabled merponies. The wise and benevolent king had forbidden his subjects to swim to the surface world, lest they be caught by the pony races above. He feared those ponies would invade his kingdom and take their resources for their own greedy purposes. This, however, did not stop the curiosity and adventurous spirit of the king's daughter, Pardiel. Against her father's wishes, she would swim to the surface to learn of the world she was forbidden to see. One particular afternoon, Pardiel made the journey towards the surface in search of something special. Her faithful friend, Floundershy, followed nervously, despite her growing anxiety of being caught.
Pardiel, are you sure we should be going this way? Some pony might see us.
Floundershy cautioned, darting her eyes as she swam.
Oh, you're just being a scaredy Fins, Floundershy. Besides, I have to find something special for Mod Cod's birthday. Remember? Get it, Mod Cod? Because cod is a type of fish. I know, but you never know what might be lurking, waiting for us. I thought you loved all kinds of fish and animals. Oh, I do. I love sea stars, and sea sponges, and Nemo, and even a nice shark, but have you seen an octopus trap its prey? All those arms! Why does it need all those arms? You're silly, Floundershy. There's no octopuses here. Come on, it's not much farther.
Pardiel giggled at the silliness of her friend's phobias and continued towards the surface. It wasn't long before she broke through the waves, smiling at the sunlight overhead.
Nothing like breathing in the dry, salty air. I guess that means the pony part of me still has air-type lungs, and the fish part of me has gills. Does that mean I can breathe from my blank?
Let's try not to question the logistics of merpony anatomy, Pinkie.
Good idea.
You're one of those narrators, saying big ol' leaky words I can't understand. What are you, a Twilight wannabe?
Pardiel scanned the waves
Moving on.
to a little island that she wanted
Narrator
to
just ignores her.
to meet up with a strange sky dweller friend.
Are you ignoring me?
He's trying to.
Pardiel,
Darling.
A familiar voice called. Partiel smiled and swam to greet her friend, Floundershy trailing after her just beneath the waves.
Partiel, what brings you up here?
Hang on, Birdie. Hey, you! Don't you ignore me! I have a legitimate question and you just shirked me off just like that?
The other narrators warned me about you. They said if you get out of line, I can send you to the bad Pinkie corner.
But I'm the star! You can't punish the star or the story won't continue!
I guess you'd better behave. Or Pound and Pumpkin will be very disappointed, won't they?
Oh, that's
You don't
cruel.
play fair! But that's really smart. I like you. We're gonna get along just fine, you and me.
So, Partiel, what brings you up here on this glorious day?
Birdie asked.
Birdie.
Birdie was a seagull, and the first and only friend of Partiel's who lived above the ocean. She would spin marvelous tales of her travels, and show her little trinkets she had acquired from the ponies in the Cloud Kingdom.
I'm here for a super special reason. My sister's birthday is today, and I want to get her something extra super duper amazingly special with it.
Won't your father be suspicious if you bring her something from the pony world?
Oh, please. He doesn't know his pearls from his dingle hoppers. How would he find out?
Birdie smiled and displayed an array of gemstones she had collected over the years and stashed on her
Of
little
course.
island.
Alright, let's see what I have here for your sister. An emerald perhaps? Or a ruby? I suppose it would depend on her colors. Tell me, is she a winter or a summer? It makes all the difference, darling.
Ooh, that one! That one!
Partiel shouted, pointing her hoof at a dull and unremarkable
Hey,
stone.
Boulder
that
even
washed
gets to
ashore.
appear.
That. But that's just a rock.
Aren't all of these rocks?
Well, technically
Don't
I
worry,
suppose
Modcott will like it.
could be classified as rocks, but these are gemstones. Far more valuable than any washed up little pebble. I thought you were looking for something
boulder,
a little
thank
more
you.
exotic. Why bother coming to shore if you're going to pick something that can be found anywhere in the ocean?
Nuh-uh! This rock looks just like a sea cake! You can't find that on the ocean floor! It's super duper special, and Modcott is gonna love it!
She
Can I
probably
have it,
would.
Birdie? Can I? Can I?
Oh, alright. If you insist.
Thanks, Birdie.
Partiel started, but was cut off when she noticed a strange array of colors pass overhead from one cloud to the next. Partiel had never seen a rainbow before, and its beauty had left her speechless.
Oh my. Looks as if the prince is at it again.
The prince?
And of course, Rainbow
Ah,
Dash is the
yes.
prince again.
The Pegasite Prince has a habit of taking the rainbows from production and flaunting them about when he flies. It is rather lovely though, isn't it?
Rainbow. Is that what that is?
Partiel said, reaching out her hoof in bewilderment.
Speak of the stallion. Here he comes now.
The blue Pegasus with a mane that matched the brilliance of the rainbows he carried was flying fast and freely overhead, and...
And what? And what?
Do you mean to tell me the prince is Rainbow Dash? Again?
Rainbow does get cast as the
excuse me,
prince
But this is
frequently.
Prince Dashy. Totally different prince and a totally different story.
No, it's Rainbow Dash, and she was already a prince in Cindershy.
That's a good point.
I can't go around making every pony think that I'm a Flutterdash shipper. Okay? It's Prince Dashy. And he is totally different from that other prince.
Okay, so Birdie is a mare, Floundershy is a mare, but Prince Dashy is a stallion.
Don't question my logic. We're all just playing a role here.
Never
Just
question
repeat
her
nothing.
logic.
As the prince flew, a colorful rainbow would follow like a streak of light in the sky. Partiel could only catch glimpses of the prince as he flew quickly from one cloud to another. She sighed and put her hoofs to her chest, looking down at it in confusion.
That's strange. I feel all tingly inside.
Partiel, do you have feelings for the prince? A mermare with a crush on a Pegasus? Oh, ridiculously romantic. You must find a way to
Pinkie
speak to
Dash,
him.
is that
You
a
must.
common ship?
You must. You must.
But how? The
It would have been
Pegasi
Rainbow
moved too
Pie.
far above the water to reach.
I don't know. I don't really think much
Love
about
will find
shipping
way,
on these
won't
shows
it,
very
Patio?
often. So
Oh, I'm so excited. Tell you what, why don't you swim down and write him a letter, and I'll deliver it to the prince myself.
You do that for me?
Of course, darling. What else do I have going on? I'm an annoying, squawky little bird with no social standings. Go on, hurry home with you, and be back with that letter before sundown.
Party-O squeed and dove back under the waves, swimming as fast as her fins would take her. Floundershy had to grip onto the base of Party-O's tail just to keep up.
But what about your sister's party?
Floundershy said shakily as she was thrashed back and forth in the water.
Don't worry, Floundershy. I can do both. I'll write the letter, give Modcot her present, and then sneak back to the surface before sundown.
You'll do what?
hey,
A new but familiar voice called. Party-O gasped and stopped mid-swim, inadvertently slinging Floundershy off her tail into her crustaceous friend.
Sorry, Tribashtian.
Floundershy
Tribastion.
said, swimming away from the crab to hide behind Party-O.
Did I hear you say you'll sneak back to the surface? Party-O, your father has strictly forbidden you to.
But Bastion, you don't understand. It's love.
What?
Party-O may have seen the Pegasus Prince, and, she has kind of a crush on him.
Oh, it's much more than that. I'm an impulsive teenager with a determination to get what I want, and I've set my sights on something that I just can't have. It must be fate.
Party-O,
Wow.
this has gone too far. If your father found out that I let you swim to the surface again, he'd have my head. You're coming with me right now, and you're never to speak of this nonsense again. Understand?
Okay,
Party-O said with a shrug, giving up uncharacteristically soon.
I was done speaking about it anyway. I'd much rather.
oh boy.
Oh no.
Party-O!
A wonderful feeling I have growing.
Party-O, please don't start.
It's a twitchy, itchy, warm sensation.
I can feel
I
it.
don't want to live without it.
Until now you didn't know
And I
it.
simply cannot doubt
And
it.
you really shouldn't show it.
There's no denying that I've fallen for some pony.
Oy vey.
Dream of living in the clouds and flying freely with him. No pony else can make me feel like I'm in love. I wanna watch the sunset from way up high, so far from all these walls.
The rules are what keep you safe.
Now that I have seen him, I am convinced.
That didn't take much.
He's the pony I'm supposed to be.
How would you know?
Just wait, I'm gonna see
You
him.
mean you have only seen him?
Wait until I meet
You
him.
haven't actually met him.
And even though we're from two worlds, we'll be together.
Are you crazy?
I dream of living in the clouds and flying freely with him. No pony else can make me feel like I'm in love. I wanna watch the sunset from way up high. Just my Dashi, and no pony else would ever be with him but me.
That sounds kind of threatening.
Do you like how I finally snuck a song into Pinkie Tales?
When Party-O returned to the Aquatica
Cranky?
Palace, her cheerful disposition quickly faded as she was met with the disapproving glare of King Crankyton.
Where have you been?
Just, finding a present for Modcot, of course.
Party-O said, placing the small stone on her sister's hoof. Modcod stared at it incredulously.
Metamorphic, combination of granite and cloudcrete, commonly found in the construction of Pegasi dwellings.
Pegasi
Oh
dwellings.
boy.
But look how it's shaped. Doesn't it look like a sea cake to you?
Party-O asked nervously, trying to divert her father's attention.
It looks like a rock. Thank you, Party-O. I love it.
You went to the surface again, didn't you?
Well,
She was only trying to find the right gift for Modcard, Your Majesty Crankyton, sir.
Floundershy said, attempting and failing to help the situation.
Party-O, I have told you again and again never to go to the
Cranky as
surface
the
world.
king.
They're a greedy, vile, untrustworthy race only out for themselves. If they discovered we were beneath these waters, merponies and creatures alike would be in danger. Don't you understand that?
But Doodle Daddy, how do you know they're bad? Have you ever even met one?
That's enough! You will swim to your room and stay there for the rest of the night without joining the festivities of your sister's birthday.
What?
No party
I've
for
asked
you.
You will guard her in her room.
Me?
Is there a problem with that?
No, sir. No problem.
Good. I don't want to hear another word about this surface nonsense ever again.
King Crankyton exclaimed, pointing his hoof in the direction of the palace. Party-Ale held back tears as she swam to her room in defeat. While the uncertainty of the surface world was a danger to merponies, there was a far more present evil lurking under the waves. Just outside Aquatica lived 3 dark and magical creatures known as the sirens.
Really?
Unlike regular merpony kind, these creatures harnessed a strange magic that allowed them to affect the pony world above. Using their red crystals, they would sing captivating songs to pony sailors, guiding
Okay,
their
that makes
ships into the
sense.
rocks to drown them. Although some merponies were grateful that the sirens kept the land ponies at bay, King Crankyton feared their magic and banished them away from the city. Over time, their home became littered with the debris of the ships they sank, causing it to be named the Sunken Ship Graveyard. The sirens kept to themselves and did not converse with many sea creatures, only those who dared to enter their domain. Their magic allowed them to keep an eye on both pony and merpony worlds. Until now, their efforts to achieve their goal had been futile. However, the sudden romantic interest from the merpony princess gave the sirens an opportunity too perfect to resist.
A merpony in love with a Pegasus.
The eldest siren, Adagio Dazzle, chuckled, gazing into an enchanted bubble that reflected an image of Party-Ale, singing happily to her friends about her love for the prince.
So what?
Aria Blaze, the middle siren, said, uninterested.
This could be exactly what we need to finally take control of Skyvale.
I thought we wanted Prince Dashy's medallion thingy.
The youngest, Sonata Dusk, asked, obliviously bobbing her head in tune with Party-Ale's song.
Duh. The medallion is what controls the weather, and whoever controls the weather controls Skyvale.
Oh, yeah.
Our crystals, combined with the prince's pendant, will give us all the power we need to control every ship that dares set sail on our ocean.
Why do we even bother sinking ships anyway? The fear we collect from pony sailors is never enough to satisfy our hunger. So what makes you think adding more shipwrecks will do anything?
We can sink them all at once by conjuring up the greatest storm this planet has ever seen. It'll be so epic that fear will be struck in the hearts of all pony kind.
Except the merponies. Merponies don't worry about storms.
Merponies don't even have magic to steal, Sonata.
Yeah, they do.
Do not.
Do too.
And it begins.
Do too.
Enough!
Adagio screamed, effectively silencing the pair of them.
I want you two to follow that Little Mermare princess. Convince her that she might need a little help getting the pony of her dreams for the right price.
And what exactly are you going to be doing?
I'll be conjuring up a spell, of course. Something we can use to trap that little princess into doing what we need her to do.
I dream of living in a world and flying freely with him.
Shut it already.
What? It's catchy.
While Party-Ale sulked and the sirens schemed, Prince Dashy was in the sky,
Daring Duke?
struggling to pay attention to a very important lesson. His mentor, Daring Duke, was
Daring
attempting
Duke.
to teach him how to use the Skyvale pendant to send storm clouds to the north.
Dashy, are you listening?
Royal pendant, blah, blah, blah. Big responsibilities, yada, yada.
Dashy said, lounging on the cloud with his hooves behind his head.
That blah 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 is very important. You're the prince for Skyvale's sake, and your father has given the pendant to you for a reason. You and you alone have the power to send the weather across the world.
Thanks, Mr. Exposition. I think I got that.
Daring Duke growled under his breath, then attempted to regain his composure.
It's very important that you check with the Pegasi Cloudkeepers to make sure the right kinds of weather are sent to the right places. The biggest problem you're going to have is starting up storm clouds.
What do you mean starting up? Doesn't his magic doohickey do all that?
Yes, but only on a cloud-by-cloud basis. After you use the pendant to send them on their way, it's your duty to start the lightning and thunder for each storm cloud. You have to be very careful though. Lightning is still unpredictable. Are you sure you can handle this?
Ah, quit your worrying, Dookie Doo. I've been training my whole life for this. When do I start?
Right now, we're set to send this storm to the unicorns in the north. I'll go with you this time so you can...
Ready, set, go!
Prince Dashy announced, zooming past Daring Duke in an array of colors.
You've been using the rainbows again to show off? Oh, Dash, we've talked about this!
Meanwhile, under
Apparently,
the waves,
just the
Princess
Duke talked
Party
about
and
this,
Fluttershy
and
had
Rainbow
managed to
ignored
slip
her.
away from Twibastian's watch. As soon as she was sure she hadn't been followed, she swam towards the surface, hoping to see more rainbows and, possibly, a glimpse of her beloved prince. Floundershy didn't protest this time, knowing that it was imperative they swim as quietly as possible. Partio could tell by the flashes of light above her head that a storm was brewing in the sky. She frowned, knowing that a rainbow and her prince wouldn't be around for such poor weather. She turned tail in defeat and resolved to swim home when she heard a mighty crack of thunder, followed by a loud splash. Partio looked in horror to see a slightly charred and wounded Prince Dashy sinking in the ocean.
Good job, Dash.
Partio shouted, swimming after him. She didn't hesitate, scooping up her prince in her hooves and attempting to keep his head above the water. Shouldering his weight, she swam towards the only piece of land she knew existed, Birdity's Island. By the time she reached it, she slumped the prince's body on the sand and tried to catch her breath.
Wake up! Please, wake up!
Partio whispered, unsure how to help him breathe. She shook him gently once, then again, pleading for him to open his eyes.
You have to wake up, Dashy. You just have to. You can't leave me. That's not how the story goes. You're supposed to be okay. Please, Dashy, you're scaring me.
Partio continued to panic and ramble until at last, Prince Dashy coughed and sputtered the water that had been in his lungs.
You're okay? Oh, Dashy, you're okay. What? Who are you? So pretty.
Dashy! Where are you? Dashy, answer me!
Daring Duke called from somewhere in the sky. Partio gasped and dove back under the waves, not wanting to be caught.
Dashy! Hang on, I'm coming!
Daring Duke cried with a mixture of relief and panic in his tone. He landed on the beach near the prince and pulled him further away from the water.
Who was that? That mare. She saved me.
Hang on, Dashy. You'll be all right.
Daring Duke said, pulling the prince onto his back. With some struggle, he took off in flight towards the palace. Partio watched the exchange just below the water a few feet away. Her mind was buzzing with the words he had said.
I don't think he's coming back, Partio.
Floundershy said, putting a fin on her friend sympathetically.
He said I was pretty. He looked so happy. Even though he almost died, he looked at me like he loved me. I can't go on without him, Floundershy. I just have to know what he thinks of me.
But how? You don't
life
even
of
know
a
where he
teenager.
lives.
I guess that means you'll have to fly there.
Partio and Floundershy turned around sharply to see where the third unfamiliar voice had come. Two strange merpony creatures had joined them, both looking friendly and still frightening at the same time.
Fly there?
Well, that's the only way you can get to Skyvale, isn't it?
And it just so happens we know how you can do it.
Who are you?
Partio asked cautiously, Floundershy hiding behind her fin in the process.
We're the sirens, of course.
You have heard of us, haven't you?
Well, yeah.
Then you must know that we have access to some powerful magic.
And we're totally willing to share it with you, too.
But why?
Follow us.
We'll explain it on the way.
The pair of sirens said, swimming away and expecting Partio to follow.
I don't think we should do it. Let's just go home.
But they said they could help. They said I could see my prince again.
Floundershy grimaced in disagreement. Following her gut instinct, she slipped away from the princess and the sirens when they weren't looking. She swam as quickly as her little fins would take her back towards Aquatica.
Come in, princess.
Adagio said, beckoning Partiel
See,
forward.
that's not creepy or
Partiel noted
anything.
that they were in a particularly large sunken pony ship. Spells and dangerous-looking objects lined the shelves, nooks and crannies of what was once the captain's quarters.
Whoa! You really have evil bad guy lair down to an art!
My fellow sirens here tell me that you have a bit of a problem. A Pegasus problem, to be exact.
I want to be a Pegasus so that I can fly up and find my prince.
Well, we can certainly help you with that.
Adagio said, gathering magical supplies while the other sirens kept a close eye on Partiel.
You will? But why?
I don't know what you've heard about us sirens, but I assure you it isn't all true.
We're merponies, just like you.
We just want to belong.
So you're not villains? You're just shy magical mermares who sink ships and happen to live in a really spooky graveyard?
No pony's ever harmed. The sailors merely fly away when the ship sinks.
Or use their magic to teleport somewhere else.
Or flare around in the water and scream like little guppies because they never learned how to swim. Well,
We only
Well-
need to protect the merponies. Perhaps if the
Truth comes
Pegasi
out.
understood us poor sea creatures, then they could keep other ponies from trying to hurt and use us.
So you can make me a Pegasus?
That's all she got out of that.
Well, yes.
But
We may be good merponies, but we don't work for free, you know.
I don't have any money with me, but I guess I could swim back and get you some if you really wanted me to. It's not like I'm hurting for riches, since, you know, I am a princess after all.
no, we
But
want.
then again, what would you want with money? Oh, I know, maybe you just want to be friends, is that it?
No wonder they
If
want
I
to take her
were just a
voice.
pony who lived in Creepsville, I would just want some pony to be my friend and maybe teach me how not to seem so dark and mysterious all the time.
But you
Princess, well then you've really got a good chance of impressing other ponies because, I mean, who doesn't love princesses, am I right? And I'm sure...
Your voice! We want your annoying, never-ending, high-pitched, squeaking voice so we don't have to listen to it anymore.
Make it stop!
Sonata wailed in the corner while Arya covered her ears.
But if I don't have my voice, how can I tell Dashi that I'm the one who saved him? And that he was all wrong about merponies and...
You'll figure it out, I'm sure. Do you really think he won't love you if you don't talk? Trust me, we're doing you a favor here.
Oh, well, then you'll make me a Pegasus for my voice, right?
Our spell will work for 3 days. You have until then to get Prince Dashi to say I love you. If he does, you'll remain a Pegasus forever and live happily ever after.
But what if I don't?
then you'll have to come back and serve us.
Forever.
Forever and ever?
Yes!
Oh, well, I don't know.
The clock is ticking, Partiel. This offer won't last forever.
Partiel bit her lip and mentally weighed her choices. She heaved a sigh and nodded softly.
All right. Turn me into a Pegasus and I'll give you my voice. And if I fail, I'll work for you forever and ever and ever. I pinky promise.
Pinkie, what? What is that?
Look, just sign this magic parchment and the
Magic
deed will be
parchment.
done.
Partiel took the magic quill from beside the parchment and carefully scrawled her name on the dotted line. As soon as the quill left the parchment, it disappeared, and the 3 sirens laughed in unison. They used their crystals to conjure a magical beam of red light. It hit Partiel directly in the chest and traveled up to her throat.
Wait, I didn't get to say goodbye and...
She started, but the magic pried the voice from her body before she could finish. Adagio smiled, engulfing the magic with her crystal and directing a second beam of light towards the mermare's chest. Sonata and Arya quickly following suit.
And any
In a
people who
red
are not
flash
fans of
light,
Pinkie Pie are
Arya's
now
body
happy.
began to change.
No!
Floundershy shouted from the entrance to the lair.
You're too late.
Arya said with a dark smile.
Let her go!
Twybastian demanded, swimming at the sirens in anger.
The king will be furious!
Too bad. So sad.
The magic from the sirens' pendants let out a final burst of light, and Partiel reappeared. Somehow in the transformation, her mane and coat color had changed, along with
That's
her body. Her once bright pink complexion was now a pale white, with a yellow bouncy mane and tail. She didn't have long to admire her new flank, hooves, and wings, however, before she began choking on the lack of oxygen.
If we were you, we'd hightail it up to that little island before your princess drowns.
This isn't over!
Twybastian called, assisting Floundershy as they carried Party-L away quickly. The sirens giggled to themselves as they watched the trio of friends struggle to the surface.
Our plan is in action.
Adagio started, but stopped mid-sentence when she realized the voice coming from her throat was no longer her own.
Wait.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what?
This can't be happening. The magic wasn't supposed to do that.
What?
Oh, great. Now we have to listen to that high-pitched whine all the time.
This is the funniest thing I have ever seen. Like, ever. No!
Adagio screamed again in anger, the other sirens having to stifle their laughter in the process.
Well,
What were you thinking?
Twybastian raged, pacing back and forth on the little island while Party-L attempted to use her back hooves.
The king is going to kill me. I am a dead crab.
Maybe we should have brought him to the sirens instead.
What? Are you crazy? He would have been even more mad.
Well, it
I was
doesn't take
supposed
much.
to watch her. Not only did I fail, but now she's gone and made a deal with the sirens? She's a Pegasus now. She's the very thing the king hates the most. I am so dead.
Party-L rolled her eyes and opened her mouth to talk, but no sound came.
And, of course, you can't even talk now. How in the hay are you supposed to do anything if you can't even talk? Obviously, you had to promise something to the sirens in order for them to give you this spell. If the price was your voice, then what's the catch?
Party-L scrunched her face and put a hoof to her mouth, trying to think of a way to convey her message. She brightened when she met Floundershy's gaze and waved her hooves to get her attention.
Oh, I think she's trying to tell us something.
You think?
what is it, girl?
Party-L moved her hooves dramatically and changed her facial expressions, not dropping Floundershy's gaze.
Let's see. I get to be a Pegasus for 3 days, and have to make the prince say I love you before time is up, or else I turn into a mermare and have to serve the sirens forever.
Floundershy
Impressive.
interpreted. Party-L smiled and nodded enthusiastically.
You got all of that from her hoof flailing?
I guess so, yeah.
A lot of good that will do us. Floundershy can't exactly follow you to Skyvale and interpret. Besides, I don't think ponies can understand animals. Well, not many of them anyway.
Then what are we going to do?
The only thing we can do. I'll have to go with
So let's see,
Party
I haven't
to
seen
Skyvale,
Applejack
and
yet.
You will have to stall the king until this whole mess is sorted out.
Me? Stall the king?
Unless you have a better idea.
Starlight's in
Party-L
this.
attempted for a second time to remain on her hooves, but continued to fail, falling back on the sand and sending it toppling over her friends in the process.
I guess not.
Floundershy said, shaking the sand from her gills.
All right then. First things first. We'll have to figure out how to get you to stand on those things.
Twybastian said, Party-L nodding enthusiastically in response. Meanwhile, Daring Duke and Prince
like some of
Dashie
the
were
art they
wandering
use
the
on
beaches
this.
below Skyvale in search of the mysterious mare who had saved the prince's life. Daring Duke was unconvinced that such a mare existed, claiming that she was a figment of Dashie's imagination.
I'm telling you, Dookie Doo.
Please stop calling me that. You know I hate that.
That's why I do it.
Yeah, that's
but
about
listen,
right.
I know that mare is out there somewhere. There's no other way I could have survived this without her.
Wait, is that her?
Daring Duke asked in shock, pointing a hoof at a clumsy-looking Pegasus who couldn't seem to fly straight.
No, the mare I saw was pink, but it looks like she needs some help.
Left. No, not right. Up.
Twybastian said in exasperation. He was hitting
Interesting
somewhere
look
in Party-L's
with
mane near her
the
ear,
white,
getting landsick and Party-L's
pony and
amusing
the
attempts
yellow
at
mane.
flight. Party-L didn't give up, keeping her sights set on the castle ahead. She didn't realize Dashie was flying to her aid, and before the prince could say a word, Party-L collided into him. The pair of them tumbled to the ground.
Whoa! Are you okay, miss?
Dashie asked, righting himself. Party-L looked up and beamed from ear to ear. She had found her prince at last.
Kind of a creepy looking
She leapt from the ground and
smile.
tackled him in a hug, catching the prince off guard.
Nice to meet you, too.
Dashi said, trying to pry himself from the hug and failing.
What's your name?
Partiel released him from her embrace and moved her lips to
Security.
respond, forgetting that she was without a voice. The prince looked at her both confused and slightly amused as she flailed her hooves and attempted to convey her name.
Huh. You can't talk, can you?
It took him how long to figure that out?
Twybastian muttered from Partiel's mane. Even so, Partiel's over-exaggerated movements and infectious smile struck a chord with the prince. This mare was so close to the one he was seeking that he felt drawn to her.
Hey, you're new to Skyvale, aren't you?
Partiel nodded enthusiastically.
Do you need some kind of help? My friend Dookie and I saw you struggling to fly. Here, take my hoof. We'll get you back to the castle so you can rest. I have an excellent staff who can make sure you're all right.
Partiel's heart leapt and she reached out her own hoof to his. However, she
Wonder
failed to
if
remember
part of
how to
the
keep her
staff
balance
is
on 3
gonna
hooves
be
and toppled
Applejack.
over again. Prince Dashi laughed as he helped her back onto her wobbly hooves.
You certainly know how to surprise a pony. Since I don't know your name, can I call you that? Surprise?
He didn't even attempt to learn your name, so he just names you? This is the pony you want to be with?
Twybastian whispered to Partiel. Partiel ignored him and nodded, happy just to be in her prince's presence again.
Twybastian got really, really
That
small.
afternoon, Partiel had been given a clean bill of health by Prince Dash's staff. Once he was sure, Prince Dashi offered to tour the kingdom together. He showed her how they made the weather, and how his pendant was the key to activate... You know what? This Pinkie Tales has already gone on for a good chunk of time. I think I might just skip ahead to the romantic sunset part. Any objections? No objections? Cool. Maybe we can cut out that other song, to save some time. Great. On with the story, then.
1 more hour. Only 1 more hour. You have to get him to say it, Partiel.
Twybastian cautioned from Partiel's mane. Partiel was too preoccupied staring lovingly into Prince Dashi's eyes to pay the crab any attention. The pair of them were snuggled on a blanket atop the sand of a beach just below Skyvale. Prince Dashi had wanted to watch the sunset with her and reminisce about the fun and frivolity of the days they had spent together. Partiel had had the time of her life with Dashi, and each day her love grew stronger. Twybastian was the only voice of reason to remind her of the situation at Hoof. Every passing hour he became more frantic in his attempts to get Dashi to say the magic words.
You know, a few days ago, I would have done anything to find that mare who saved me. I thought I was in love with her. But I don't think I've ever met someone like you, Surprise. You're so fun and random. And those pranks you pulled?
Yeah, of course she did.
Though, I doubt Dookie Doo will be very happy with you for a while.
Partiel smiled again.
Okay,
and
after that, I
snuggled
kind of want to
closer
know what
Prince.
she did to it.
This sunset's really pretty, isn't it?
Dashi said, pointing to the sparkle of sunlight on the water. Partiel's eyes widened at the mention of the sunset, and her entire demeanor changed. She quickly pulled away from the prince and put a hoof on her chest, then pointed to Dashi. She did the same to him, trying to get him to understand.
Oh, so now you listen to me.
Well, technically
Wait,
she didn't.
What's wrong?
Partiel continued the cycle, touching her chest, then the prince, touching his chest, and then herself. Unfortunately, the prince wasn't catching on.
You, have heartburn?
Prince is kind of
Partiel shook her
stupid.
head.
You're trying a secret hoof shake?
Partiel shook her head again, glancing at the sunset in panic.
Oh, come on! It's not that difficult.
Twybastian exclaimed from within Partiel's mane.
Who said that?
Prince Dashi said, examining Partiel's head curiously. Twybastian popped out of the hair in bewilderment.
You can understand me? You could have understood me this whole time?
I can speak to any animal. It's part of my princely teachings, duh. Though, I still have a difficult time speaking to monkeys. But, wait, so who are you?
There's no time to explain. Quick, tell Partiel you love her before the sun sets.
Partiel looked at the prince with wide, pleading
Hard
eyes.
eyes.
And though he didn't understand, he took the little crab's instruction.
I guess I do love you, Surprise.
guess.
Or, Partiel, was it?
The sun set over the water as soon as the words escaped his mouth.
Does that
Twybastian
count?
gave a loud cheer in celebration.
You did it, Partiel, you did...
But before Twybastian could finish his victory, Partiel vanished into thin air, leaving a confused crab and prince behind.
Where did she go?
To fulfill her part of our little bargain, of course.
A new voice said as the three sirens emerged from the sea. Their crystals were glowing, and a trapped pink mermare hovered above the water beside them.
Let her go!
Prince Dashi demanded, attempting to fly to Pardiel's aid, but was instead repelled by the siren's magic.
He said he loved her. That was the deal.
Did you really expect us to be honest? If Pardiel had read the contract rather than prattled on, she would see that she would end up our slave anyway.
And why didn't you say it to her sooner? I mean, Pardiel can still read and write, right? She signed her name on the contract. Is the prince illiterate or something?
Girls, you're getting off track. We have a little deal to strike with the prince here. Now that we know you're in love with that pathetic little mermare, we're willing to bet you'll
he
do
guesses.
anything to save her. Wait, that voice.
Are you just figuring everything out now? Your precious mermare princess traded her voice to Adagio so she could be a Pegasus for you. Duh.
Then it was you who saved me. I knew it.
Prince Dashi exclaimed happily as Pardiel nodded her head. His excitement was short-lived, however. Realizing the danger Pardiel had gotten herself into on his behalf, he turned to face the sirens with a dark glare.
What do you want? Your pendant, of course. Give it over, or Pardiel will serve us for the rest of eternity as a
Taco cart!
Taco carts.
What? I've always wanted one of those.
Ha! Fat chance!
Prince Dashi shouted, holding the pendant in the air and summoning a storm cloud. He flew to the top of the cloud and kicked aside, sending bolts of lightning to the sirens and the containment field around Pardiel. The sirens growled and their crystals grew brighter, deflecting the lightning and sending it back towards Dashi. The prince dodged and kicked the cloud towards the sirens to distract them. While they thrashed their hooves trying to dissipate it, Prince Dashi was flying circles around them, his pendant glistening as he did so. Soon after, a tornado formed around the sirens and sent all three of them spiraling into the air. Dashi flew to Pardiel's aid, beating his hoofs against the bubble around her.
Don't worry, I'll get you out of here!
Somehow?
Dashi said, putting his hoof against the bubble, Pardiel doing the same.
The crystals! Destroy the crystals and you'll destroy the sirens!
Twybastian called from the shore.
Of course!
Dashi answered. He flew towards the tornado,
Ooh,
using all the strength in his
animation.
wings to keep from being pulled into it. Aiming his pendant just right, Dashi sent a bolt of lightning into the jumbled sirens, hitting Adagio's crystal. He gave a victorious cheer when he saw a pink ray of magic escape the tornado. The magic flew directly at Pardiel, bursting the bubble that contained her. Pardiel splashed back into the sea. When she emerged, her voice had been fully restored.
Pardiel, you're okay!
Prince Dashi cried, flying into her open hooves.
I'm fine, but I think we have a big problem.
Pardiel cried, pointing her hoof at the sirens who escaped the tornado, with smug grins on their faces, their crystals each glowing brighter than they had before.
Did you really think you had won, little prince? Now that you have restored my true voice, we can unleash our magic on you. That pendant will be ours!
Adagio announced with a cackle. She and the other sirens turned their attention to the prince and began to sing. Their hypnotic spell was drawing the prince towards them, and he was helpless to stop it.
Dashi, no!
Pardiel cried, holding him back as best as she could. Twybastian aided the princess, jumping from Pardiel's mane onto Prince Dashi's back and crawling up to cover his ears.
Don't listen! If you don't listen, they can't control you!
The siren's singing grew stronger, and it proved too powerful for Dashi to resist. He mindlessly pulled away from Pardiel and flew towards the sirens, holding out his pendant as he did so.
I don't think so.
Daring Duke called, flying directly into Dashi and sending him to the ocean where Pardiel was waiting. She caught him, putting her hooves over his ears and making sure he was unable to turn back to the singing villains. Daring Duke had swiped the pendant from the prince long before he hit the waves. The sirens, undeterred, began their hypnotic spell on the Duke.
Except it
Soon
won't
learned,
work because he's got the
however,
earplugs.
Their song was unheeded. Daring Duke had preemptively plugged his ears, effectively blocking their magic. He unfurled a whip that had been wrapped around one of his wings, and with one mighty crack, he bound all three sirens together by their tail fins.
Now it's my turn.
King Crankyton said, emerging from the water in a magnificent display. The crown atop his head was glowing, and from the pearl embedded within, a great
I'm a little
flash
disappointed
of
with the lack
light
of
shot magic
Applejack
through the air
here.
towards the unsuspecting
Haven't seen her
sirens.
anywhere.
A great swirling vortex appeared before them. Daring Duke smiled and nodded, whipping the sirens around in the air for a moment before slinging them into the portal. The sirens' screams echoed as the portal closed around them, forever trapping them on the other side.
Whoa.
Is that supposed to be how they
Didn't
end up
think
in the
you had
human
that
world?
Dookie-doo.
Prince Dashi said, shaking his head to clear the trance he had been under.
I haven't really been honest with you, Your Highness. I'm not really a duke. I've been hunting those sirens long before I got to Skyvale. I knew they'd be after the pendant, so I masqueraded as a duke in an effort to keep it safe.
Oh, so you're only like me for my pendant.
Dashi said jokingly, shoving his friend. Daring Duke sighed and rolled his eyes.
You're not half as incompetent as I thought. The pendant will be safe with you, Dashi. Though I have to admit, that portal of yours sure was useful.
I thought merponies didn't have magic.
Oh, we've had it, but I don't like to use it. No self-respecting pony relies on magical nonsense unless it's absolutely necessary.
Where do they go?
Floundershy asked, finally feeling brave enough to swim out from her hiding place behind the king. Artiel smiled, knowing that Floundershy had been the one to alert her father what was happening. Ultimately, she had saved her life. Partiel swam into her and hugged her tightly, before answering her question.
Canterlot High. Alternate universe S's will take care of them with alternate universe Pony Twilight.
Artiel, you are in worlds of trouble. When we get back to the palace, you'll be grounded for the rest of your life, and...
Please, Doodle Daddy, please let me stay with Prince Dashi. I love him.
Partiel pleaded. Prince Dashi joined her, flying just above the waves.
And I love her too.
No, absolutely not. No daughter of mine will marry a Pegasus.
As the king ranted on, a white bird swooped in and stole the crown from atop the king's head. His wig fell into the
Of
ocean
course.
in the process.
Ha-ha!
Birdity cried, placing the crown on her own brow.
My ship will live on!
The magic of the crown activated, and Partiel's fins began to change. In a burst of bright light, she turned back into a Pegasus.
Somehow this is
and
M.A.
shot into the
Larson's
hooves
fault.
of her prince. Satisfied with herself, Birdity returned the crown to the king, still perched upon it in case he got any ideas about changing her back.
You're bald?
You know, if you let Partiel stay with the prince, I'm sure we could all forget that we saw him.
Blackmail!
Fine, you can stay with the Pegasus. But if this true love thing doesn't work out, you can bet I'll be back here to take you home.
Don't worry, that'll never happen. Okay, everyone can go away now. This part of the story is just too good to share.
It's rocks, in the shape of the end. I guess that means the story is over. Unless you'd like me to tell you all the different rocks I found at the bottom of the ocean.
That's quite enough of that. Well
Man,
done,
no
Monkey.
Applejack.
I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope to see you all again next time for some more Pinkie Tales.
That one was fun. Oh, Vanamelon. Egghead and the Beast. So I'm guessing it's gonna feature Twilight in the lead. Hey, that one was fun. As an Applejack fan, I was very disappointed to not see Applejack in there, which I brought up a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know if I'd necessarily call this one my favorite, but it was still fun. I am probably gonna try for a part in the next one if they have any male parts available. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, this one was a lot of fun. I like that they included a song. I wonder if they're going to start doing that in all the future ones, having at least one song in there. I'll have to see. That was a lot of fun. Alright, so all I've got on this one. So, until next time.